In this video, we're gonna talk about kěyǐ. And also some other helping verbs, auxiliary verbs that can be translated can. So we're gonna start off talking about kěyǐ, which is the first one I haven't taught explicitly before. It has definitely come up in examples and stuff. So we're gonna talk about that, and then I'll give a comparison of the three different helping verbs in Chinese that can all be pronounced can. That's why I titled this video, Can You Make Some Sense of This? Because we have three helping verbs that all can be translated can in different situations. So let's start with kěyǐ. Probably the main function of kěyǐ is to give permission, to say, is something okay or is something not okay? So like we might say can or may. Maybe may is a better translation, but often in English we say can when we mean may. Driving English teachers through the ages crazy. So here's a couple examples. 我们可以吃苹果. We can eat apples. But 不可以吃糖果. But cannot eat candy. So we can eat apples, but we can't eat candy. So it means may. We may eat apples. That's okay. That's allowed. But we may not eat candy. Here's another example. This is from All Set Learning. 我们可以在办公室吃饭吗? So 在办公室 means in the office. 我们可以 can we? It's a question, so that's can we in the office eat? 我们可以在办公室吃饭吗? So it's like, do we have permission? Is it allowed? Is it okay to? This one's very simple from All Set Learning as well. It's just 我可以进来吗? 进来 means to come in. Can I enter? So 我可以进来吗? It's can I come in? May I come in? But however, while the may giving permission is probably the main function of kěyǐ, it has another function. It can also be used to say, is something a possibility? Is it going to work out? So here's an example of that from All Set Learning. 可不可以换时间? 可不可以换时间? Can we change the time? Or can I change the time? It doesn't say who, but 可不可以换时间? Can we change the time? And so here it's like, it's not asking about permission, because it's not necessarily saying, do we have permission to change the time? But is it going to work to change the time? Is that a viable option? So sometimes that like distinction between a viable option, is it going to work? Is it a possibility? And is it okay? Do I have permission? That's a fuzzy line sometimes. So it's very dependent on the situation. One final thing to point out here. When this is not true in a question, because let me first make the statement. When you say 不可以, my understanding is 不可以 always has to do with permission, or whether something is okay or not, whether something is allowed or not. Where so if we want to ask the question, is something possible, we can say 可以吗 or 可不可以. So there in the question, like just like this one, 可不可以, we have a 不可以. So it's like yes, cannot change the time. But if someone says subject 不可以 do something, without, it's not a question. It's saying, it's the statement is 不可以 do something. When that phrase 不可以 is used, it always means not allowed. If you want to say something is it's not possible, it's not viable, then it's better to say 不能. And so now me just introducing that leads to the next topic, which is a comparison of 会, 能, and 可以. So in this clip, we're going to go over 会, 能, and 可以, which are three words that when translated in English can be translated can. So I'm going to first talk about sort of their primary meaning. So I can say that this is primarily this is primarily that, and this is primarily that. However, they each have secondary meanings, and there's some overlap between them. So first, 会, its primary meaning is to be to know how to have the knowledge to have learned to. So like 我会说中文 I know how to speak Chinese. I've learned how to. 我会跳舞 I can dance. Really, I can't. But anyway. 能 the primary meaning is to be able to have the possibility to and it where I lost my place in my notes. Okay, to be able to be possible, for it to be a viable, to work in a certain situation. And then we have 可以, which means, we just talked about, it means its primary meaning is to have permission to, for something to be all right. So, but however, each of them have like either another meaning or there's some overlap between them. Okay, so let's talk about it. 会, the primary meaning is to know how to know how to. But it can also mean, I think we've learned this already, is it can also be a helping verb that means will do something. So like, I'm gonna will, sometimes it'll be would, that kind of thing. I would if I could, or something like that. But so to it's like I will go tomorrow. 我会去，我明天会去. So these are pretty drastically different. Context usually makes it clear whether we're talking about something will be happening, or we're talking about I am able to do something. I know how to do something. This is learned. Now this also can refer to ability. But it's more about innate ability or possibility, not so much about knowing how to. Like, I can breathe. Yeah, I can do that. It's an innate ability. It's not so much that I've learned how to. I know how to breathe. Well, everybody knows how to breathe. That's who's alive. So, and then here we have, yes, it's to have ability. So it's kind of more like innate ability rather than a learned ability. And then we have to be possible. To be possible. Something can work, it's possible. And then it can also mean to have permission, just like 可以 can. So it can mean that as well. So this one's pretty broad in its meaning. And then here we have the primary one is permission, but it can also mean, especially when it's in the positive form, 可以 versus 不可以, when it's in the positive form, it can also mean to be possible. So they each have their primary meaning, but they each have a secondary meaning, and particularly these two both have overlap, where their secondary meaning kind of overlaps with the primary meaning of the other one. And so another point, you can add 很 before 会, like 他很会说话. He can really talk. He really knows how to talk. And you can say 能, 他很能 something. 他很能, I'm trying to think of something where it would be 很能. I think you can also say 他很能说话. It's maybe a little bit different feeling. Maybe it's more like he was born with it. This is more about like he has learned the skill. I don't know if it's that clear, the distinction. But 很 can go before 能, and it can go before 会. But 很 cannot vary. It cannot go before 可以. There's no 很可以. You really have permission to. It doesn't work like that. Okay, so let me give you an example in English where you will see a clear difference between 会 and 能. Using swimming as an example, and then I'm going to give you some sentences from All Set Learning that really illustrate the differences between these. So let's say where someone is swimming, we're talking about swimming, and there could be three reasons why there could be three meanings to 我会游泳, 我们会游泳, 我们能游泳, or 我们可以游泳. So if I say 我们会游泳, that means we have the ability, we know how to, we have learned to swim. Then if I'm talking about a pool of water, and I say it's deep, we can swim there. Or it's not raining today, we can swim, we can go swimming. So it has to do with like, is it possible? Does it fit the situation? And then we could say 我们可以游泳. We have permission to swim. And so that's kind of like a way to look at them. And now let me give you some Chinese examples. These are all from All Set Learning. This was All Set Learning's comparison. I think this is really good. So I just copied it. And so this is talking about dancing. And it gives like a sentence, a background information. And then it will tell us using 会, 能, or 可以. So this says 我的脚好了. That means my foot is better now. My foot is better. 现在又能跳舞了. So we have 能. So now I can again dance. So the reason I couldn't dance before was because my foot was hurt, but now I can again. Does that make sense? So it means that I now can dance. It's not saying I have the ability to dance. It's saying that I can do it again because my foot is better. Here we have we see 会. 我学了2个月. I've studied for 2 months now. 现在我会跳舞了. Now I can dance. It means I have learned to dance. Does that make sense? And then here we have 我爸妈同意了. My parents have agreed to it. 现在我可以跳舞了. 可以 means permission, right? 现在我可以跳舞了. Now I am allowed to, I can dance because my parents have agreed to it. Does that make sense? That kind of like clearly illustrates the main ways each of these are used. But again, especially between these two, there's overlap. And with this one, it just has a totally different meaning as well. And so you have to watch out for those. But it is helpful to know kind of like the primary meaning of each of them. And then you can extrapolate from there. So that is 会, 能, and 可以. I hope that's helpful. And we have a couple more videos and we're done with HSK 2. Keep up the good work.